Hello, and thank you so much for joining me today. As you all know, today is day two of this Diddy trial, and Cassie, the star witness, Diddy's ex girlfriend, has been on the stand for the majority of the day. Truth be told, I think she will be there all day by the prosecution, and we're going to get into it. Let's take a look. Hello, and thank you so much for joining me today on the Community Ledger. Again, my name is Andrea Banu. If you have not already, please do go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And if you would love to support me a little bit further, you can always follow the link in the description and buy your girl a cup of coffee. And so now I wanted to follow up yesterday, not actually yesterday, this morning, I posted with regards to the interview that Al B. Sure did regarding his pretty much assertion that he is blaming Diddy for his coma. It was an incredible interview that he did a few days back on Good Day New York, where he literally said Diddy is responsible. It was groundbreaking because for all of this time since Dalby Shore has woken up from that coma and recovered, he has kind of been very elusive with regards to who he thought was responsible, but he just flat out said it the other day. If you have not already, I will definitely, I'm sorry, if you have not seen it already, I will definitely put the link in the description so that you can go see that interview. But nonetheless, the case has officially started. So, any of you who have followed pretty much Cassie's original accusations will know that when she originally dropped that lawsuit, it was very concerning. And before I even get started and go any further, I will go ahead and say right now, if you have any children in the room, remove them. Okay. This is most certainly viewer discretion advised. This is not going to be content that is suitable for children, period. Okay. And so, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and continue. So like I said yesterday or in my last video, I am going to be glued to the telephone. I'm sorry, telephone. I am going to be glued to the television screen so that I can see every bit by bit because this case is just so incredibly interesting to me, just the layers of it. And then I am very curious in terms of the law, how they're going to get him on trafficking as well as racketeering. And so we're going to get into it. We're going to get into it. So it was so much given today that I had to take notes, girl. So listen, originally, you know that Cassie, pretty much her entire case was surrounded around these freak offs. These freak offs being these X sessions that she would have with Diddy that was orchestrated by Diddy in multiple hotels all across the US and around the world. Now, Cassie is alleging that a lot of these encounters were coerced and that she did them under duress, and she knew that if she spoke against it or if she did not agree, that she would be met with violence or some other sorts of retribution. Mm. And so today, she got on the stand. She got on the stand. Now, as you know, she is about 8 months pregnant right now. She has since gotten married and she is having another child. It's going to be her third child. So I will say congratulations to Cassie for being able to somewhat heal from this traumatic experience and move on with her life, find someone who can love her, protect her, and have three beautiful children. So I would congratulate Cassie in this moment for being victorious in just moving forward with her life, because I know that it could quite possibly be or could have been an incredibly difficult uh, feats, not only from these years of trying to endure or these years of enduring what she did, but as well as trying to escape and get away from him, as well as now having to be victimized and have all of her personal information and her personal ex life displayed for the whole world to see. I know it's incredibly difficult and embarrassing, and for her to be as courageous as she is to get on the stand and speak like this in front of a courtroom is incredible. I mean, like I said, my heart goes out to her. It really does. And so now, getting back to the case at hand, Cassie starts, now for right now, beginning of the day, she's just being questioned by prosecution. And so prosecution is just wanting her to detail the dynamics of the relationship. She's going on, when she met them or when she met Diddy, when she signed, and how the relationship evolved. And so, just to make things a little quicker in terms of pace, she ultimately, she signs with him. She's his artist, and she's very young. I think she was around 19 at the time, very inexperienced physically and actually. Let me take another drink. Because I be talking so mouth. I be talking so much, my mouth get crazy. Regards to a lot before she met Diddy. Diddy introduced her into a lot. So very, very early on into the dynamic of their relationship, he somewhat, pursued her, forced himself on her. I won't say forced in the manner that's aggressive like grape, but I would say definitely he was a lot more forward with her than she had anticipated. Kissed her at her 21st birthday. She was very uncomfortable, unaware of what to do, but continued to see him because at the time, remember, this is her boss. He is the head of the label. She is a budding star, very bright eyed and bushy tailed. And so she continues to see him, meet with him, things of that nature. She goes to these meetings with him to hotel rooms where they begin to talk about music and her career and what's going to happen next. But then it always drifts over into something a little bit more physical. And so, in that, he introduced her into, I would say, fellatio and things of that nature that she had not experienced before. So, she gives, she starts by letting them know that she's very inexperienced actually before she met Diddy. And so, this was not a lifestyle that she had prior to the introduction into him or even into the industry. And so, it quickly progresses into how things kind of got so crazy. And so, what I learned today, based on what was previously put in those files, is how quickly things progressed into a very dark physical relationship. So, she is, introduced into this voyeurism, quote unquote, how do I even say this? I'm trying to make sure that it's censored enough for YouTube. This freak off type of setup with him within a year of their relationship. So, like within the first year, he's talking to her about some things that he's interested in terms of voyeurism and things he wants to do, etc. She said maybe 2 months after he discussed his desires with her in this regard, he had set it up. Okay. And so she said, he got a ex-worker and got the room together, et cetera, and she performed this act. Now, they asked her how she felt afterwards. She said she was high for the duration of it. So she said she was kind of numb to a lot of the emotions that came with it, but she does recall feeling very like dirty, embarrassed, but at the same time conflicted because Diddy seemed very happy and pleased with her performance and what she had done for him. And so keep in mind, we're talking about a very, very young girl. Now, all of us being adults, we know when you like 19, 20 years old, you're quite naive. Okay, yes, you're an adult. Okay, legally you're an adult, but you're not the woman you are today. You are not the adult you are today that you were at 19, 20 years old, right? So at this time, she's pretty much enamored with him. She's incredibly naive. She's enveloped. She thinks this is a real relationship, which hindsight is 2020. She admits now that that was very naive, and she realizes she was very naive then. And she was like, she was led to believe that there was like a monogamous relationship and that he genuinely cared for her. And once she started sleeping with him, obviously emotions were tied in. And so she was kind of sucked into his world and loved him, cared for him. And so she would agree to these things based on her care and concern for him. Now, the things that became incredibly disturbing about this situation is the level of frequency that it evolved to. And that is the part that is really, really hard to swallow. Cassie states that these freak offs would happen weekly, okay? Weekly for years. Okay. Now listen, It's 52 weeks in a year. She was with this man 11 years. So you do the math on that, okay? She stated she has had so many freak offs and it happens so frequently that she can't even recall the number. She can't even tell you how many times or how many men that ultimately she's been with because it was happening so frequently. Weekly, every single week for years. She stated that some of these sessions, she said they asked her the longest freak off, and she said it lasted 4 days. My brain can't even process nothing like that. Like, how are you physically intimate with a complete stranger while someone else watches while high and high on drugs, alcohol, et cetera, with baby oil and craziness for 4 days? These things would last for so long. It would be so exhausting that it would take days for her just to recover, just due to dehydration and exhaustion. I can't even imagine. I cannot even imagine, right? So the level of frequency was something that I learned for the first time today, which was crazy, which was not in that original lawsuit. Every single week for years. Let that marinate. Um, I mean, ugh, okay. Whew. So aside from that, the others, oh my God, this is, oh my God. The other very, I mean, it's just, let me just gather my thoughts because it's so heavy. It's just crazy. It's crazy. She spoke about, and also yesterday, before I even get into this, yesterday, the one of the ex-workers testified, and he testified that he, made anywhere between $700 to $6,000 to perform uh, on Cassie and with Diddy on a consistent basis. And he did it several times and met them at several houses and several hotels. He actually witnessed Diddy being physically violent to Cassie one time. But one of the things that for me was the most concerning about this is that he stated he never wore protection. That right there. Mm, mm. So when you talk about the fact that this woman was doing this every week, every month, year after year, for up to 11 years with strangers, with exotic dancers, with ex workers, complete strangers, and not wearing protection. Whew. Um, uh, I don't, that's diabolical. Like, listen, 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 listen. I watch all kind of stuff on YouTube. Okay, I watch all kind of real life stories, documentaries, etc. Even prostitutes, women who work the streets at night in random cities all across America demand Johns wear protection. Okay, these are working women, been in the game, who society deems whomever. Okay, the society sees them as whatever they see them as. But these women who are in this industry and work these streets have enough self respect and understanding, okay, to demand that their clients wear protection. These men who were performing by the request of Diddy um, were not wearing protection. Okay, that right there is scary as hell. Like that, I can't even, like, whoa. Okay, so to me, if this woman won $30 million in that settlement, that ain't enough. That ain't it's not enough. After hearing what she was subjected to, there is no way she could not have gone through counseling and a host of other things necessary to get her head and her body right, because that is insane. I cannot even comprehend what she was exposed to. And we're going to take it a level further. If as if that's not even enough, we're gonna take it a level further. What we found out today. Not only were these men not wearing protection, some of them were relieving themselves in her mouth. The prosecution, mm, 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 mm. She stated that she was choking, and the prosecution asked her, "Why were you choking?" Because she said it was just so much urine in her mouth by the worker and Diddy at the same time. They would urinate on her, physically on her body and in her mouth, to where she would be choking. I can't even. And if it don't get it, and if as if it don't get worse than that, there's more. Listen, I ain't even gonna be mad at you if you can't even hear no more because it's a lot. But for those who are interested in diving deeper into what this is and what he may be charged with, we're gonna keep going. She also stated that she was forced to perform even while on her period. You talk about diabolical. I mean, I can't even conceive of a word to properly describe that level of depravity. Strangers, X, unprotection, menstrual cycle, urine, and baby oil. Oh my God. Mm, 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 mm. Listen, I know people into a lot of things, but mm, okay. Mm. Most people who are into, some unconditional things typically do it with a loved one, typically do it with their significant other, typically do it with um not random ex workers from all over the world. So I can't even comprehend what this woman has been exposed to physically, mentally, and spiritually. That's crazy. Um, Lord have mercy. So they also asked her, based on the fact that she ultimately signed to Diddy because she was supposed to have a record career, she she signed for a 10 record deal, okay? She signed for a 10 record deal, only actually did one record. So there go her record career, right? And so they asked her, well, like, how many songs were you actually performing? How many songs did you actually record? How many records were actually released? And she was like, a few songs got released online. She's recorded like over 100 songs, but most of them never saw the light of day. She was like, her job, okay? Her role as Cassie was to perform in these freak offs. Like, you're not here to be no artist. You here to do this. That's what he had her. That's what she was signed to do. So ultimately, I'm like, okay, so she was an ex slave. She was an ex slave. Um, because how like how are you how every week, that is insane. For years she felt like she said she felt so used, so abused, so neglected, and the whole time you thinking you love this person, right? Which is insane. Okay, so I'm like, so how does this even happen? Like, how does this even, for one, okay, so the prosecution is accusing him of like trafficking and a RICO charge. But of course, the defense is going to say, listen, they were in a relationship. She loved him. She agreed to this. This was unconventional in terms of their intimate relationship, but this ain't no crime, right? She agreed to this. She agreed to this. You cannot charge this man with trafficking or RICO based on an intimate relationship he had with this woman. And so I'm like, well, wait. That's what everybody's saying online. But I'm like, you know what? It's a little bit deeper than that. So I'm going to ask you, watching, what do they charge PIMPs with? They charge them with trafficking. Okay. So just stay with me. So you have like a, we're going to say a PIMP. plus the working woman dynamic. Okay. So the working woman, she has the freedom, the ones you see working on the street, the ones that go from hotel to hotel. She got a PIMP, right? And she out there, she does the work. She not being held captive. All that she does is voluntary. She making money. She's free to leave, so to speak. However, if that working woman decides she want to leave, she want to escape, she want to do anything that he don't agree with, oh, that's her ass. Okay? And we already know what happens to working women when they get their hands on a gorilla PIMP. Okay? That woman will damn near lose her life. A PIMP will stomp a working woman out and will take her life. Okay? They don't play no games. They rule with an iron fist. That's why a lot of these women go dolo. They don't want to be up under no PIMP because they know it's brutal, incredibly violent. However, she's free to go at any time, right? Right. So she can leave the house. She ain't tied up nowhere. But if she don't bring in that money that he say bring in, and if she decides she want to go somewhere else, her life is in danger. Okay. And then you got the other side of it. You got another side, which is the for real deal, diabolical, what horror movies are made of traffickers and traffickees, right? So the trafficker, what does he does? He didn't took it a step further. He actually has the woman locked in a room somewhere. She chained, she tied, whatever. She can't leave. Okay. She's literally kidnapped. Okay. She cannot get free. So she has no choice in the matter. She not choosing her Johns. She not choosing the money. She ain't getting no money. She in a locked room. She drugged. She don't have no say in nothing. Like that's real gutter, horrifying, horrific trafficking. Okay. I'm feeling like this case is somewhere in the middle. This Diddy case is somewhere in the middle of those two worlds, okay? Because Cassie, although she wasn't chained up, although she wasn't tied up, was still under a constant threat of violence like a regular streetwalker. Now, you know, the defense is obviously going to be like, okay, well, he was paying for your apartment, he was paying for this, he was paying for that, in the same way a PIMP would, right? A PIMP provides the housing. He gets your hair done. He take you shopping. He do X, Y, Z. But if you get out of line and you decide you're not going to perform, you may just lose your life. So that's why I'm like, okay, so this trafficking situation that they trying to get him on ain't as flimsy as the internet likes to think. Because this is getting real creepy. Okay. And so what she's stating is that again, going back to Cassie, what she's stating is that even when she wasn't in his presence, she didn't have much freedom. So he provided, say she's in her apartment, if she's calling her and texting her all throughout the day, if she mess around and don't respond to that text message, she don't answer that call, he calling again, he calling again, he calling again. If she don't answer them calls, he got his security, he got his assistant, he got his bodyguard, everybody's blowing up her phone. And if she don't answer within however many minutes, somebody at that door, somebody is at that front door. Girl, Diddy is trying to call you and he didn't call and text your ass about 15 times and you ain't answered. Get on it right now. And that was her life every day a week. She said she didn't even see Diddy. Okay. All these years we saw Cassie on the red carpet and we thinking, oh my goodness, she been with him forever. She only come out when it's time to go to that damn hotel. So she literally was like, she only saw him when it was time to go to the hotel and perform this elaborate X act. Okay. This is insane. That's not no regular relationship. That ain't no real relationship. That's just, I'm literally paying you to perform. And so I'm like, okay, so what exactly does X trafficking mean? And so I'm going to give you the definition that a simple Google search gave me. It says X trafficking law, specifically within the US, criminalizes the use of force, fraud, or coercion to induce someone into performing commercial X acts. Okay, so the commercial X acts comes from the male X workers. They were being paid to perform an X act with Cassie based on coercion and force. She didn't want to do it, yet She was forced to. Okay. So they're also going to be giving, I think today they gave text messages, they gave email threads about him saying, we're going to do this on this weekend. We're going to make this happen. And Cassie trying to talk him out and say, I don't want to do this. I don't want to participate in this. Let's do something else. Whoop, 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 whoop. And, that right there is showing force or coercion to perform uh, for this against her will. And so, another aspect of it is, let me take a drink because my throat getting dry. Mm. Um, I lost my train of thought. Oh, another aspect of this is, even if you did not get him on trafficking, which I think is going to be very hard not to do, he still participated in solicitation. So purchasing anyone specifically for an X act is still solicitation. That's still against the law. Period. Do Johns not get locked up when they get caught on the side of the road soliciting? Absolutely. So it's still a crime. So if you got all of these ex workers who are stating, he paid me for this, he paid me for that, he paid me to do XYZ, you're still participating in an illegal act. You're still purchasing actual favors, right? So that's still solicitation. So at the very, very, very bottom, he's still guilty of that. Now, like I said, this trafficking situation is really dark and crazy, and it's sitting between a PIMP working woman situation and a real traffickee situation. He's somewhere in the middle. The only difference is he's Diddy. He's a mogul. He's known. But really, what's the difference? You got to ask yourself, what's the difference between Diddy and what he was doing to Cassie than what any old dude on the block is doing to his ladies of the night? What's the difference? What's the difference? And if they gonna arrest any of those dudes for doing what they do and smacking this chick up and forcing her to work and not allowing her to leave and not allowing her to come home until she makes a certain amount of money and they still lock him up for trafficking, how is Diddy any different? That's my question to you. And right now, that whole they were in a relationship, this is a domestic violence situation, is not going to be, to me, it is very flimsy. And I'm going to tell you why. Because as soon as they implement the violence that took place in this relationship, that's going to have to go out the window. Okay. Yes. In loving relationships, if that can even be used, some people consider a loving relationship, violence occurs. Okay, that's a domestic violence situation. However, if that Diddy and them just went to the movies and they argued and they got in a fight and they did things and he smacked up, that's okay. That's one thing. That's domestic violence. But it was a scenario where he was purchasing these men to perform with her, something she did not want to do. And if she did not do it, he would smack her up. That's a whole nother ball game, right? And so I see all of these rappers and all of these dudes all over social media be like, oh, now shoot, if we got to jump off and we fly her to another state, that's considered trafficking. No, it's not. No, it's not. When she says, I don't want to do this, and you kick the broad down the stairs, that's something different. Okay. Okay. That's something different. So let's be real with it. Once you implement a level of violence into a scenario, everything becomes different. Okay. When she's performing on these men who she does not want to perform on these men. And she has written documentation stating that she doesn't want to do these things. She has text messages. She has emails stating that she doesn't want to do these things. These workers can physically say that she's not wanting to do these things, yet Diddy is being violent against her and forcing her to do these things. That's something different. That is trafficking. Now, I ain't no lawyer, so this is all alleged. But from my eyes, when I say, okay, well, what's different from this and this? I'm like, oh, okay. I'm seeing how the prosecution came up with this. I'm seeing what they putting down. And then you say, well, where is the Rico? Because he the only one. The Rico comes in with everybody else that played a part. So when she didn't answer Diddy's calls, when she didn't answer his text messages, and that security came and knocked on that door and said, you better or else, oh, now it's a Rico. Now it's a RICO. When she says, I'm leaving, I don't want to be here anymore, and he has his assistants go find her at her mama house or at this other dude house or wherever the hell she is, it was like, you need to come with me or else, that's RICO. Because they're aiding and forcing her to do something against her will. They're aiding in the trafficking of this woman. And if you get two other people who they say they got two other witnesses that supposedly were victimized by Diddy, and you got all these ex workers who can speak to what they were paid to do, they agreed that they were paid. Okay, so you already know they got immunity for soliciting, okay, or solicitation. So if they're on the stand letting it be known that they got paid. Feds, all they got to do is follow the paper trail. They already know what it is, right? So they see, and these workers make deposits and everything else. So the money is easy to find. Okay. So once they can prove that he paid these people for X acts, and these ex workers performed on Cassie, even though she was crying or she had a black eye or whatever the scenario is, I mean, this ain't gonna be difficult to prove. This ain't gonna be hard to prove at all. And I'm gonna tell you, I was skeptical. I was like, how are they gonna pull this off? Like, this is gonna be flimsy. I'm like, how are they gonna pull this off? Because knowing Hollywood, knowing these Hollywood parties, girls volunteer to do a whole lot of craziness. But that ain't what this was, based on Cassie's testimony. Okay, based on her testimony, a lot of what happened was something that she did not want to do, that she did not agree with, that she requested not to participate in, and she was met with violence. Okay, and then she tried to leave, and she was forced and dragged back by not only Diddy, but other people who worked with him. And remember, people are like, well, why you ain't just call 911? Why you ain't just do this? Why you ain't just do that? I just played a video of Albie Shore who said he went to the police and the police didn't believe him. Why? Because they was working with the situation. Those were his exact words. So if a grown ass Albie Shore can't go to the cops, what Cassie gonna do? Albie Shore paying his own bills. He ain't sleeping with the man. He ain't got no parts of the man. And he just came out of a coma. And he went to the police and couldn't get no resolve. What the hell you think Cassie about to do? She about to put her nose down, take whatever drug she got to do to numb the pain, and get this over with until I can figure out a plan to get the hell up out of here. You know, and truth be told, my personal opinion is when she really realized I have got to get out of this or it's gonna get really dangerous is when Kim Porter died. That's when I believe she was like, I can't do this no more. I can't play. My life is in danger. And that's when she was like, I got to figure out a way. I got to find a way. Because in the original lawsuit, she says she tried to run on multiple occasions and they brought her ass back. So I think that's when she was like, I have got to be like for real with this. Y'all done seen them Lifetime movies. Y'all done seen enough Lifetime movies to know that these battered women, when they trying to run from their husband, it is serious. Okay, they got to go underground. They got to do all kind of craziness to get away from that man. And sometimes that man still find their ass and get rid of them. So listen, it ain't no game. It is not a game. It is not as easy as everybody thinks where you can just just leave. It ain't no problem. We talking about somebody that has unlimited resources, unlimited influence, supposedly feds and cops and whoever else on his payroll. You can't just walk away like that. It's not that easy. So you got to be very strategic in terms of getting the hell up out of there. And like I said, I believe that once Kim Porter passed, when she was like, "Listen, if I don't do something now, I ain't gonna make it out." And she was already living hell because like I said, I can't even imagine the kind of craziness that she was exposed to. She said something crazy like she went into one of the freak offs and it was like a blow up pool in there full of like bottles of baby oil and she was forced to like submerge in it with all her clothes and her shoes and it's just you just wet, you just dripping in baby oil, and then these random men just do all this craziness to you. Like I can't even. And then ain't nobody wearing Oh Lord, mm, 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 mm. And this is Lord. Listen to me. Listen to me. This is only day two. This is only day two. Okay. The prosecution has questioned Cassie. The defense hasn't even cross-examined, and I feel like it's going to get even more juicy tomorrow when the defense goes over everything with her. Why? Because they're gonna try to poke holes in everything, and she gonna have to let it be known. They gonna say, well, why you didn't leave, and why you didn't call 911, and why this and why that, and she gonna have to say, because this time he bust me in my lip, this time he kicked me in my forehead, this time he did that, and she gonna have proof. And that is, and I feel like that's what the prosecution is doing. I think the prosecution is lining it right up so that the defense can ask these questions and she can give her rebuttals and her answer, which goes ahead and puts it all in a nice little package bow so that they can see I did not leave because of this. And they're going to have to show that level of violence. If they can't show or follow up that level of violence, then they ain't got no case. So that is a vital component into this trafficking: force and coercion. But what say you? What say you? It's crazy. It's crazy. And I want to know your opinion. I want to continue this conversation in the comments. I want to know whether or not you believe that this trafficking charge can actually stick. Do you believe that, Cassie being there, Cassie doing this, allegedly under her duress is something that can really have Diddy behind bars for some real times? Or do you think that the defense will be able to say, no, it was just a relationship, it was just a couple who had a very kinky sex life, and that's it? And then he's going to walk free. I would love to get your opinions. So if you have not already, please do go ahead, share, like, and subscribe. And until next time, we're gonna get back into it tomorrow because this case is gonna be long and I want to continue the conversation. I really want to hear your opinions about everything that's happening right now. So again, if you have not already, subscribe, and until tomorrow, this is the Community Ledger. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe and watch the next video by clicking right here.